Hello there people, this is Bruce Be Cool or Nintendo, and right now we are up against Lucky on Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's Decade Duels. So, what does he have? What can he do? Let's find out and see if we can develop a strategy against him. Now, his deck is a Monarch deck, meaning, if you haven't come across them yet, his deck is jam-packed full of Monarchs, which are tribute monsters, and have pretty nasty effects. Now, on top of that, he'll also try to special summon monsters to use as fodder for the tributes, and try and take even your own monsters for the tributes as well. So that's what his deck involves, you know, getting these monsters out as soon as possible and taking early control. So, let's go through the Monarchs that he does have. He's got Caius, the Dark Monarch, or Shadow Monarch, I forget which, once tribute summoned, it can get rid of any card on the field, and if it happens to be a dark monster, then you take 1,000 damage. Pretty nasty. He's also got Raiza, the Storm Monarch, which can select any card on the field and send it to the top of the owner's deck. So again, gets rid of your cards on the field. Mobius, the Frost Monarch, that gets rid of any 2 magic or trap cards on the field once tribute summoned. And then the last one, Thestalos, the Firestorm Monarch. That gets rid of a card in your hand, and if it happens to be a monster card, then you take damage times 100, equal to the amount of stars on the monster that you got rid of yours. So that's the Monarchs in a nutshell. His other monsters rely on being special summoned and being used for synchro summons. So say Cyber Dragon, Krebons, which can be used with emergency teleporter, that's what I meant. And he's also got Spell Striker and Treeborn Frog. So Spell Striker, you remove a spell card and it's special summoned. Treeborn Frog, if there's no spell or trap cards on his side of the field by his main phase 1, by his standby phase, then he can special summon it constantly. So yeah, that's his monsters, nothing else to really worry about. His magic and traps, he doesn't have many traps, although he does have the usual Torrential Tribute and Mirror Force, and he's got the lovely Solemn Judgments, all 3 of them. Fantastic. In terms of his spell cards, to take your monsters, he's got Brain Control as well as Soul Exchange, that's what it was called. And obviously he's going to use your monsters for the tribute summon and gain effects. Now on top of that, to put monsters on his side of the field, I've already mentioned Emergency Teleport. There is also Instant Fusion, which he pays 1,000 life points, and that brings a fusion monster out onto his side of the field as a tribute. There is also Foolish Burial, which more often than not, as you saw earlier on, he gets out Plaguespreader Zombie, and then that gets special summoned to his side of the field, and again gets used as a tribute summon. In terms of normal staple cards, he does have Monster Reborn, Swords of Revealing Light, Heavy Storm, and Mystical Space Typhoon, as well as Giant Trunade. So do be careful if you're laying a few magic and traps in the background, bearing in mind Mobius and Raiza, as well as Caius, will get rid of the back row. So do be careful if you're using a lot of magic and trap cards, okay? Now what I would suggest is chainable cards, especially bottomless trap holes if you're running a beatdown, because sure he would get the effect, but if he's targeting your back row, or you just don't want a high monster being on his side of the field, then you'll get rid of his monster straight away. So that's a big plus. If you're using skill drain in your beatdown as well, then that's especially effective against him, because he'll only have 2,400 attacker monsters at most. Now, I say at most, if he does a synchro summon with Krebons or Plaguespreader Zombie, then that would bring out a synchro monster, and he'll usually get out Goyo Guardian, and then on top of that, usually Colossal Fighter. So if you're trying to just purely beat him down, do be careful of those cards, okay? Now, if you are attempting to stall, I would say try and use your strategy as soon as possible, because again, if he gets rid of his back row, then then you're going to be destroyed pretty quickly. So say Burner, if you're trying to stall, that's not too bad if you bring down his life points as soon as possible, especially if he uses his Solemn Judgments and his Instant Fusion, then he's going to get rid of his own life points pretty quickly. Other than that, if you try to swarm him as soon as possible, that can also be quite effective. Even if he manages to special summon, even if he manages to summon out one of his Monarchs, then he only gets the effect once, even if it's to destroy one of your own monsters. If you've swarmed the field, then you've got more than enough monsters to take him down. Also, because of his high rate of tribute monsters, you could be lucky enough that he jams up his own hand. So if you notice he isn't playing anything, then just take advantage of that and destroy him. Now, other than that, anything goes, I guess. Trying to remove his monsters to power yourself up, or even trying to get rid of his deck, as long as you're doing it as soon as possible. That's quite good. Yeah, anything goes. If there is any other suggestions, or are any other suggestions rather, my English is poor, then, you know, note them below. You know, mention what you think is good against Lucky, and we'll have a little discussion about it. Or any questions about the deck I'm using, then by all means put comments down below as well. Anyway, you guys take care of yourselves, enjoy the rest of the video, and I'll speak to you again soon. Take care.